There's a question I want to ask everyone in line setting locations. The reason why you have a school is for you to guide yourself to where you need to go. Try to understand that. It's a geographical map of your set location system. It's all about understanding how to use it through provision. Okay, the mind is the concept of all line communications to your system that puts you all lines of where you are in position. Okay, so it's important that we all understand that because this is going to help you in all ways and forms. Because what school does, it gives you the connections to what you need to understand, how to use you, how to understand you, how to understand the formations of you, the calculations of you, the operations of you, the triangulations of you, the force communication line settings on view, the set location GOD, the geometric operation design, why you're doing these structures, why am I seeing this, why am I seeing that, do I understand this, do I understand that? School gives you all levels of guidance, okay? It's a higher level setting to your avatar, and your avatar has to understand the set location of you because you are the reaction to everything through its travel, okay? The mind shift, the body follows. But see, the line communication is the center line, which is two panels line communications, right? So I stay still, but I'm everywhere in set location. In the mind navigates everywhere, right? Where are you in the mind? And I keep saying that. So there's a lot of line communications of confusion again and again and again because you're high rise in your line setting. Now we're coming into 7 lines, 9 in an energy wash line, theta line rotation and snowy graph interference into frames. That's a correlation line conditions to your positions. Okay, lacing frames, times calculations, all level time stamps. Setting direct signals and set location system to your measures and accountabilities. This opens all track communication system in your set location setting. So it's about redirecting and directing your settings in set location system and find a way to always see the silver lining to the other side locations. There's always a way to get out of any situation that you're in. Okay. So this is a process that we all have to get into. Okay, to really understand that. And when you get activated line stream interference, you have to really understand that you're a vessel of communication now. You've got consciousness of awareness. Okay, to make it very well clear, consciousness is something that you are, not something you wear, not something you do, not something you see. Okay, until you understand you inside through how this works, how do I understand what I'm seeing? You got to see it from inside, not outside. You can't see it from outside. You got to see it from inside you. That's the only way you can see things. So it's an inversion, line setting, high set location, receptor. Start line setting and position and track communications. So the more you bounce yourself inside, the more everything in line communication is bounced outside. So you're balancing the inner space and outer space locations of your system. And then you really understand how to work it through line communication size system to its position, location, operation. Right? Okay, so we got Tina, Gypsy, and Bojan. Welcome, everyone. So today we're going to go through 79 line settings and track communications. All right. Waiting on the signal for everybody to come in and say location of travel. Okay. So we go through provisions every day, and that every day has got to be in the same day line signature line streams. Now we went through 8 face recognition line calculation setting and directions. That's all set up through your senses lines and communications. So in that line of positions, now we have to go through code lines, factor calculation settings. This is where we come into line and center interference. We come into signal line, center line rotations, and a quasar hangers. 2 center lines set calculation setting directions. Signal lines, and 2 lines, and 2 atom line rotation surface. Correlations and positional lines of 2 patterns, creation time sequence. Puts position location triangulations into box location setting in directions. Directing signals, 2 lines of weathers, 2 lines of weather line interference to track communications. Directing lines of Fibonacci line interference to track communication line direct signals in 3 line settings and 3 line rotation surface and set locations. Directing line settings, 0 line operation in position of 1 line, strip line communication is center. That opens all communication in your settings in position location high setting and directions. Now directing signals is line connection system, which is a matrix grid line, streamline, operation surface, and set location system into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels of operation. Directing signal lines go to 1 graph line stream, 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines, and 5 set locations of directions. Now, directing line signature line stream interference. 3-line signature line interference is set location system. So we put 3, 3, and line calculation setting. So 3 in measure, 3 correlation, 3 in panel, and 3 in operation to center. Okay. Directing lines, 3 graph lines, center lines of 4 in travel communications. So we take the 3 lines and 3-line communications. We take the 4 lines and the 4-line communications, 4 lines, 4 lines communication, 4 lines, 4-line communication setting, and direct signals. So in provision, the line center is signature pattern and correlation line direct signals. We set up the correlation line to its energy wash. The correlation lines of 3, so that's line calculations of 3. Line interference, 3, 3 equals lines. Equal lines of 3, 3 and set location directions. Now that direct signal location system. 4 channels line setting and high center interference. So that directs the signals, lines, and set location system. 4 lines of 3 puts line connection high setting. 4 equals lines is 7 in the top signal. 7 at the top. So this signals line rotation into the sun and rotation surface into correlation setting directions. Now, if you look really close, you can see the pyramid, right? Bird's eye view looking down. Look at it. It's a cone, right? It's really cool. So we've got a coloration line stream directing signals to location system and directions, setting that signal locations in system, right? Now, in that line position locations, we go through platitude line rotation of surface, all right? Correlation lines changes line signature line streams and set location high setting and 2-track communication directions. Now, directing signals and understanding the energetic graph lines and streamline position of all lulls. This measures its compatibility again in line communication. So we take the 2 atom lines into line center interference. Now, the correlation panels and set lines of travel communication setting puts position locations in lines of travel calculations into a triangulation line set. That directs signals cross line stream and set location high setting and high center interference and travel communication setting and direct signal of operation. Okay. All right. So when you go to a fortitude setting, we take the energized line setting in position location or pyramid from above, from below. Now we center the line the set location of patterns. The correlation panels and colorate the line center line interference to travel communication direct signals of space line through centers. Space communications in 3 set line condition setting and kaleidoscope line interference and travel communication directions and 3 sets of location system. All right. Oscillogic channel lines in correlation setting in position of coloration, changing line signature line streams in all position location at 12 settings. Okay. That's all set up now. Okay, so we're going to go through that line interference, travel position locations. Okay, so waiting on signal. The line setting is all calculated to modify how you set position location to your settings. Interference. So we go through the line calculations and positions. Travel line setting directions. Voice line channels. High calculation stream. Right? Now, this is the correlation line conditions where it is, the body frame. Center calculation setting. Center position locations and Fibonacci line swirl and set location of directions. Now this directs the signal line interference. And again, you're always working with the line communications of 4 and line center line high center. 4 equals lines of 7 in center position. Right? See the 4, the 3 lines. So we box the 4 and we box the 3. 4 travels line center here. Line condition line center is 4 line center here and 4 line centers here and 4 line centers here. Into your position location or diamond core set location of setting. Now that's direct location system. So in channel line interference, we take the line centers, line and high center interference is 7 equals lines of 3, 7 equals lines of 3, 7 equal lines of 3. Triangulation line set in the high set location and setting. Directing signals down, right? Setting correlation line stream and set location of 3 set lines and a new operation surface and set location of travel and set locations. Okay? Now, getting that direct signal, you have to really understand how to use the 7 in perimeter, 7 in location, 7 in activation, 7 in position, 7 in setting, 7 in operation of service into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Graph line condition setting into its solar sail as set location setting and measure. Okay? Now, you guys line center line interference. So we take the 7 lines of pi and 9 line condition system. So it's all about bringing the 7 line in the center and 7 in position location of operation surface into the sun of correlation setting of direct signals in position location to its pyramid of set location setting directions. Right? Again, you see it from above, right? It's all set up. So you get 79 settings now. Now the center line communication gets complicated because now you're setting position of frame lines in position locations to a tube line setting rotation of surface. Now this is directing signals lines in set location system to high calculation lines into new line signature pattern in set locations and directions. Directing signals. So it's kind of like inside line setting and translucent lines and visibility line rotation and interference in set location system. Because if you look really close, it looks like a lamp in set location of setting. Right? But it's a UFO line rotation. Okay? So this is the Earth perception line, energy graph lines, and alpha line wave lines, a 79 line rotation, the phenomenal line rotation surface, and the UFO line rotation setting and calculation setting to a crop circle location center in position of 2 panels of operation. That my equation, right? All right, so we go back and signal and set lines and graph lines and set location of travel setting locations, right? Directing signals. Now the graph line sets high position. Now, high position locations comes in high center interference. This puts position of track lines. So in that correlation system, we add the frame lines. Okay, you have to add the frame lines in each line's location of space since that location line direction in this application. Okay. So when you get in that position locations, it travels lines. Okay. Travels lines and center lines of communication, a magnetic line of a cloud line, operation line, streaming line, allocate stream interference of travel communications. Right? Done by equation. Right, that's all set up. So that's kind of line signal, center interference. Still there. All right. So we go back in this line, frame the set lines, high center interference. Travel the recognition of time sequence. Now the 7 line streamline sets position locations in a high center interference. See the flux capacitor? How it's set up. So we set up the electrical line center. We change the line condition to green. Right? Travel set location. One side location setting direct signals. So it sets up a 0 line operation surface in a ground line operation lines and calculation of time frame sequence pattern. It sets lines and communication setting in calculations to its position to its operation surface in 3 lines of circles and set location of travels. Now this directs the signals, sets lines and communication in 0 line operation surface and set locations. All right, so what's happening now? I'm resetting the circle line settings. Okay, so getting into position of program is the allocated line switch. Now, an allocated line switch is kind of like a switch on, switch off. Seconds, perimeter line, center line interference, 0 line gravity, position of 9, over line calculation setting, power line, recognition of time sequence, 3 over pi, reset location setting, indirect signal, is locations. All right, that my equation. All right. So that's going to be out of signals and that's gone, but still there. All right, so in that center communication directions in center high interference, both are travel now in set location, travel line settings. Gone, but still there. All right, gone, but still there. Okay, so we go back in signature line stream, setting new track line communications, change the green lines back into black surface. Now, getting to positional lines, you understand how to set the grid lines. Grid lines are set lines in a correlation setting, indirect signals, location to a system, right? So you got 2 panels line stream, okay? Okay, so get in that center interference, the correlation setting, indirect signals, magnetic lines of channels, operation of cloud lines of surface locations. All right, so we go in the line position, okay? Center calculation of center line rotation surface and set locations, okay? Directing line signature line streams, in-line communication setting, intertorical fields of energy line stream and set location to your atoms settings in high calculation. Okay, very powerful. Right? All right, so when you get in that position, you have to really understand how to really get your position, your 7 line streamline, which is your bodies of water. Correlation lines, center lines is operation surface and set location setting, and new direct signal and center communications into its operation surface. All right, see that? See it goes up. Now the core line center, your chakra line, center line interference rotates the surface one way and the opposite location setting directions. See it? Let's go into line signature. All right, so it goes this way. It's set location lines. So it's going like this in position of panel. Goes up in signature. And then it crosses line into figure 8 in set location directions. Directing line center, line interference. Solar graph line stream interference in set location high setting. Directing signals. Travel lines in set location high setting. And operate line center interference and travel communication settings in 3 track locations. Okay? Done by equation. All right, so when you get in that position, we're going to keep that through signature line stream. We'll go through point settings. Okay, 2-point line settings in position of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 set locations. Right, look like dots. They're not dots, they're stations. So each station has a command line. A command line is a rotation surface. It crevates its line center line interference into cluster location setting and crosses line center of travel communication or clocking. So the travel lines of clocking changes 1 signature, 2 signature, 3 signature patterns. Now directing line signature streamlines and set location and high center interference of triangulation. Now the triangulation line center is a system. This is where it comes into its umbrella, crosses lines and line interference and set location system and position attraction. Okay, directing signals. So in that line comes an indication lines. You have to be very careful because you're setting correlations to pi calculation lines in position to boundaries of space and set location of travel. So it looks like a baseball diamond, right? Set a calculation line interference to travel communication. Home run. Out through equation. All right. Travel lines, right? First hit. First base. See, boom, solar graph. Center calculations, right? So a correlating line interference comes into baseball and track communication line interference, but you have to stand the pi direction of time sequence times line. Now it indicates the line stream interference. Now this word comes in geometrical line setting in set location of directions, right? Play ball. So in that position of track line, we change the correlation system of 4 in position of 3, okay? Center calculation is the center operation. It always stays at 7 because it's your bodies of water. So the track line in the 7 sets position of travel, okay? Sets position of travel and sets position of 0 line and 0 gravity line interference in 2 panels in a correlation line stream and set location of travel set location. All right, it's very complicated. Now, pi direction of timeline is a 15-line stream. 50-minute power line channel. The streamlines the allocated line switches set lines into 7 lines of 9. That's an energy line, streamline, and rotation surface in position locations to its center calculations. Right? See the calculation line setting? So it looks like a dome line. So we change the correlation line directions, indirect signal, and set location. Okay? Now, directing signals, we take the lines of 7 in travel communications, right? Center calculation line interference 7/9. That's 7-line setting in travel communication to the analytical graph line. That's psychological line communication to a setting in travel communication system. So the 79 stays in the center position. The operation to its energy field, energy wash, 1, 2, 3, 4, in position of 1, 2, 3 set location settings in both side locations and directions. Now, directing signal lines and high center interference sets line communication energy wash that retracts line communications and high center interference. This is an underlay line calculation setting to under relay line interference into all calculation or energy line stream and set location setting and direct signals of straight cross locations. Directing panels and line connections of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and set location and directions. Directing signal lines. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky because we got to change the course. Retract lines and recalculation lines of recording. Calculation line interference or retract locations into timestamp. Center calculation lines is circle line interference of travel communication settings and 2 set location of travels. Now, this direct signals line calculation. Okay, higher position lines of high calculation setting, direct signal set location. See the correlation lines and teleportation unit. Travel lines of triangulation line interference. You have to learn how to use the invisibility line rotation interference and set location setting and direct signal and set locations. That my question. All right. Okay, so that's going to be in position, gone, but still there. Okay, so when you come in this line signature line stream interference, back in this equation line interference of frame lines and set location line directions, You have to really understand how to set up the connections of founders and lines of space. Now, this allocated position of time sequence puts lines of center lines of zero lines, 0, 0, 0, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 applications of zero lines. Zero line rotation interference. Now there's two panels rotation line position 0, 0, 0, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 set locations, right? Directing signals. Now we take the zero line second line connection. So what we're doing is we're adding the zero line correlation setting into new circle rotation of circulatory line conditions. So zero operation, circle, and set location. See the circle? Then we come in a cross line in circle location, see? And then we come in a cross line in circle location, see? And then we cross line circle location, we cross line circle location, we cross line circle location, cross line circle locations, cross line circle locations, cross line circle locations, cross line circle locations, and send it division. Okay, done by equation. All right, so that's going to be inline signature line string, gone but still there. All right. So basically, when you set a communication line setting, it's a direct signal. So it's all about understanding how to set up the circulatory lines of zero lines. Now, there's two plateaus. I get 12 line signature, 12 line rotations, and equal lines of zero in position of set locations of directions, right? So 12 equals 0. Okay, 0 equals 1 is the location setting. Bracket lines, bracket 2 location setting directions. Now, in set line conditions, you take the one perimeter and you take the one perimeter lines of 1, 1 in track communications. 2 indicating line interference, negative over positive is 1. And 1 over 1 line is 1 position. So that's 1 line setting in position of 1 portal, a set location of travel. Now this directs signals. Now we take the 0 lines in calculation, 0 cross line is signal, a set location of travel. Directing line center line consists of 0 lines of 2 in position of 3 in positions of 4 in set location directions. Directing signal lines of 2 line centers of 3 and 0 lines of 1 and 0 lines of 4 in set location of travel. Directing line signature line streams. So that's 4 over 0, 2 over lines, and 4 lines of X, X lines of T, T lines of travel, T lines of rotation, T lines of calculation, and set location lines, a 0 line, and interference of travel communications of directions. That equation, right? So we got the 0 line in set locations and 1 portal communications, equal lines of set lines of 79 in position of space and position location of timeline sequence, 79 in center line communication of setting, right? Platform line interference, 3, 3, 3, and 2 panels line streamline connections. Directing signals, operation surface, sun code line streamline, and position location to an energy hub, like a seed pod line rotations, and a capsule calculation streamline of directions. Done by equation. All right, so we keep that in setting. So in that rotation line stream, you have to redirect signals and set locations. How to set up perimeter line center location of string lines. But it's amazing when you come in all calculations to a capsule calculation, right? Directing signal location to 79 positions. All right, so it's getting more complicated. So what it is just basically putting things together through letters, numbers, and shapes, through symbols or anything that track communications to understand how to use your film projectors in lines of the sun and correlation setting to direct signals, location to its moon of operation surface. Okay? Okay, so the zero line communication lines, the graph lines, center line interference, zero line calculation, setting, bracket line condition of 0 set location directions, right? So we take the 0 lines, travel lines, and set location of 3 sets, directing signal lines and position location of panel, operation surface, travel communication, scan lines, center communication, crop circles, applications, and directions. Okay, so we're always working with the 0 line communications, right? Founders of line centers of space understand the calculation modification of the center. That it operates in line calculation setting direct signals into 0 line communication in the center line position of 3 set locations. See that? That's how I understand how you change things in communication of directions. Line signaling, equal line calculation, stripped down in center position of operation, all right? So these are 3 units, line conditionized system, indirect signals, 2 line signatures, and position locations to an orb setting location in position line, track line, communication, and directions. So we take the 0 line of center, we take the 0 line of operation to center communication, travel line center, vortices, vortex communication of travel settings and directions. That way, good, all right? So the center lines of 0 line of operation is now in center communications, right? 12 in signal, 12 in activation, and 12 in rotations, right? So it's 12, 24 in line counted from high center line position of 36. All right. 36 lines of 2 lines is 8, 38 line rotations. We've been into that travel communication line setting, direct signal location system. So we allocate the timelines, time streams, time line, and zero lines and gravity line interference to travel communication line system because it puts you in a zero line setting into nanotechnology set location of directions. Putting position location of 0 lines and 9 lines, waiting on signal of 3, position of 12, sending correlation setting and ground lines of a 24 signature pattern and high center location setting and direct signal applications. Done by equation. All right. All right. So that's outline center and position. Gone, but still there. How are we all doing? Listening, yes, great. All right. But it's amazing how you set things up through equation, right? Off the formula. Okay. Okay, so that's waiting on positions. All right. So when we get in position of high line setting, we have to really understand how to put position, location, and track lines. Okay. Because the thing is, you have to understand these line signature line streams, okay, indirect signals, okay, because the platitude line interference of father's lines of space line communication system is now in correlation setting to 9, okay, of trimester lines in your foundation graphs of your timeline sequence, right? Once it gets indicated to 2 lines of digital frame lines, it changes all direct signals to location system to its atmospheres of space anomaly. Okay, track communication setting changes all lines of energy line interference and travel communications directions. So that's the indication where you have to understand how to use your mechanism line centers of travel through your own space correlation. Okay, directing signals in all lines of energy graph line stream is to understand how to set position location to your system. Okay, so it's kind of like setting up an electrical graph screen. Okay, the electrical graph screen is a box line rotation. Okay, so it's like a calendar, but you split it in locations. All right. So it's an energetic graph line. So it has a rotation lines, and so it travels. Okay, travels lines, it comes back and set location, high setting directions. All right. Now, if you understand that, you understand the sequence how it comes out of equation line setting and directions. Center calculation center positions, operation surface, scan lines, and set location of travel. Okay. So you all have to understand how this all works because it's an energetic graph line electrical lining interference. It sets position location to your consoles of communications, right? Console calculation lines, set directions, signal line and positions, operation surface, travel lines, and set location high setting, and direct signal. That's a console, right? How to use it to command center. Equal line calculation setting, direct signals in positions to the line position, calculation of 0 line operation surface and set locations. Okay. So you really have to understand how to use the hieroglyphics. The aerodynamic line interference of magnetic fields or anything electrical line connections or anything through discharge, you have to really understand how to use the constant communication setting into your 12 graph stream location systems. Because it's in position locations, the high line setting of 0, line condition of 9, 3 lines on a window, and 12 in signal. Okay? So in that track communication center, we change the energy graph lines, 3 lines and 4 line position of travels and location grid. See the location grid? Travels line center, avatar comes in right here, getting ready, right? Right there, right? Travels through, right? So when it goes through line grid, it goes through console communications. Now it gets complicated. Remember I was telling you about what happens with the higher cell and the avatar integrated in one line setting? It has to go through location grid. So platitudes is line streamline interference of a row graph line stream sets position location high setting and direct signal and set locations. That's hanger. Hanger is a correlational line in set locations. This is the hanger. Okay. So that platitudes is line and travels line signature. See, it travels out in position. Right? Starts here, travels out. That's the hanger. So you have to really understand how to travel the location of 0 lines, operational clock lines, and 9 line setting in position of 3 windows, because you have a 3-second window to get to 12 to accelerate, right? 12 line signature line stream comes in at 24 line of a clock line rotation surface and set location of directions. Now, directing signals lines of panel communication line interference, you change the communication of panel lines. He allocated a line, changed the streamlines, allocated switch lines and high interference of travel communication setting, higher travel line settings, out through equation, out through line signal, out line communications, back into assigned communication setting directions. Multipass. Okay? How's everybody doing so far? Marvelous. That's what I like to hear. Fantastic, amazing, outstanding, tremendous. And so many lines of communication of abundance, right? Coming into that position, location, operation. But I'm just showing you the most powerful thing is understand the location grid is going through the avatar line conditionized setting, through your hangers or anything position. Okay? So, yeah, observing. Yeah. So that's what it is. It's really understanding the location grid. All right? Location grid. Okay, and what it is. Okay? So you have to understand it because it's position of view for locations, right? Because the thing is, you have your communication, your sun and line. It's a yin and yang, right? That's the process correlation lines of 6, position of 9 in set locations. So the 6 lines and the 9 line changes every second. It has to. Okay? 6 provision lines of the moon rotates its surface in 6 line conditions, high setting direct signals in 4 lines of 6 locations. Okay? Setting signals of 9, center communication opens all levels of panel lines, operation surface, high calculation of dimensional line streams. Okay? So we all have to understand how to travel through line communication to the location grid, all through your avatar, right? This is a process of structure, right? To get you guys ready is to understand how to go through your solar sails of dimension, right? In position, right? This is the sun, this is the moon. This is the moon, this is the sun. See how it changes? So it changes by the 0, it changes by the 9, and it changes by the 12, but it has a 3-line window and 3-second location setting. So it's your system locations to its intention, to its set location. That puts you in a force line, communication line, a location line, the grid line, operation surface, location grid system. Travel communication line direction is really understand how to set position of your setting. Because you're going through 0 through 9, through waiting on lines of a 3 window line interference of 12. And every time it goes faster and faster and faster, you're going through 24, 48, 72, and 144 in set location and acceleration of speed, right? So in that center communication system, you really have to understand the correlations of the dimensional sail, which is dimensional line setting, lock line interference, or code line interference, location of fragmentation and stream interference, and the Archer law of calculation streamline is set location setting and position location of measure. Scales the balance correlation line direct signals to position of travel through the navigation of the mind line setting to the avatar stream location of position. Directed signals in set location. Okay? So in that position locations, that's how fast you're going through line signature. And you have to really understand how to use your solar sails. Okay? So it's kind of like understanding the position location of the boat. And you got the connections to the calculation line center to the spinnaker and your line calculation to the jig and position locations into the nautical setting and position location to the aft and line connectionized system, how to really guide yourself through a boat, through navigation, right? So we all have to understand these things because the thing is you're directing your sun and your moon through its sail. And the founders of space is trying to understand you through travel communication to your setting into his timeline sequence, but within his set location into your timeline connections of its position, of its operation. Okay. So it's important you understand line communication in your settings through dimensional sails to a solar sail. Okay. So don't get confused that through clocking because you're always working with 0, you're always working with 9, and you're always working at 3 window in position of 12. Always 3-line window, correlation setting, and 4 lines and 3, 7 in location system, right? 7 bodies of water, travel calculations, setting direct signals and set locations, high center interference, travel calculation lines, travel lines of 0-line operations, correlation center of 6, position location of 4, 4 lines of 3, line condition of 7, 7 bodies of water, travel line signature patterns, and position location of solar generation streams, all right? So you really have to understand how to travel through your numbers. Okay? You really have to understand how to travel through your symbols and letters and shapes. all through formula. Okay. You don't do this line communications. You can do this line center and position locations, 4 line signatures, into 0 line communications. 4 equals bracket of 4 equals 0. What does that mean? What does that mean? How do I understand what it means? Well, it's all calculated and modified through yin and yang, through the correlation setting, position locations, how you set up the line communication, dimension line interference, solar sails, and dimensional location system, and 3 travel line communication settings in position of 0 to 9 to the 3 lines position of 12. Right? Through yin and yang, the process of communication to understand your settings to your sun and your moon. Right? So that's an indication of 4, right? Solar generator, equal line calculations in your position your Merkaba, cross line signature lines of 4 line direct signals and set locations. Directing line centers. Now this is a bracket line communications, a 1 panel operation stream. Directing signal equal line calculations, setting up the Spinnaker line interference of its dimensional sail into its operation surface in its solar sail of communication setting to the sun and the moon in direction. Through 4, bracket equals 4 equals 0. Okay? So the process is really understand how to use your sun and how to use the moon together as one through its own design, because it's traveling so fast, okay, through its own geometric operation of design, through its sail, okay? So the reason why I say sail is what you have to understand is position locations of 3, 6, and 9, okay? See that? Together, right? Yin and yang, right? 6 and 9 line setting, cross line stream, triangulation line interference, another dimensional sail. Oh, what have we got? Another dimensional sail. Oh, we got a circle line communication, right? So your sun and moon is morphosing into everything through communication through your settings, all through your thoughts of recognition of space and time through pi. Okay? How are we doing so far? Pre-flight, yep. So, these are the things you have to understand because you're reaching hard line centers now. You're in 79 locations. And when you get into 80, you're a new infinity of new crown line into a rotation surface, into a new operation of location system in the mind of travel. All right? So you really have to understand how that all works. Right? Because the thing is, when you set up a formula equation, you already traveled through it. It's so simple. You go through 3 line signatures, lines, equal line condition bracket, line condition, 1 hanger, line interference, 1 line positions. You got a pi direction of time sequence, location, line setting, and directions. Pi calculation streamline. The reason why you have to travel, okay, the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm time jumping, time leaping, okay, a vortex crossing in set locations, all right? Through position line conditions of pi, through line communications of pi, right? So what is the pi? Dimensional sail. Okay, so that's what happens with the pi. The pi turns into a sail, all right? Multi-pass. So you get into this position, locations, right? Always have to have a center position, all right? Correlation line interference, yin and yang, 6 and 9. You're always working with 6 and 9. Always, 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 always. Sun rotation line interference, rotation circle location system. Now, indirect signal, okay, center correlation lines, 1 panel operation stream location, directing positions. Now, it gets complicated because the sun and moon are trying to understand each other through its vector location of the formation line setting. It has to go through the same rotation spin. If it goes to the opposite line direct line conditions, you're changing your dimensional sail in a wind factor. And that wind factor is changing its correlation system of its galaxy line setting and high line rotation interference and travel communication. Right? So you're always trying to bring the 6 and 9 together through its dimensional location. Okay? So now you understand the process of the 3, 6, and 9. Now you understand the process of the dimensional sail. Now you understand the process of the solar sail. That's 3 line settings, line and positions of travel, right? So in that line communication system, you have to learn how to use it through projection. location of projection. Okay? This is your sun. This is your moon. Okay? But they're always in position of 6 and 9. They're never out of the equation. They're always in their dimensional sail, which means they're always together. They're never separated. Never, never, never separated through projection of travel. They're always together through travel. Okay? So it gets more complicated. And that's why you got to structure a line of communication and go right through the location grid. You start out with that, right? You guys have gotten out of that now. Now you understand how to keep the sun and the moon together through emotional setting, because it affects you through your human resonance, through voice line rotation. So I'm just trying to help you guys so you can help yourself know exactly how to put your position location, how to use your sun and your moon together all in sequence. It's got to be a flow at the same direction. Understand? You can't have a line-send line interference of 3 sets of 6 line communication setting and set locations of directions. There's 3, 6, and 9, right? So that's a basic understanding. Set location of travel. Basic. But see, that triangulation line becomes its own dimensional sail, which is the correlations of the moon. Now, the moon has to be in positions of the sun, so they communicate with each other. They travel together. They always travel together. You understand? They don't separate. So that's what you guys have to understand. So when you get into that position locations, the 3, 6, and 9 changes the inhibitors. So you change the lines, the geometrical lines of 6, 7, and 8, right? Which is a higher levels of sail, higher calculations of a sail, higher line division of a sail. Okay? It's a higher level of geometric operation of design. That's the 6, 7, and 8. If you go into 9 line, which is extremely high, through line conditions, 9 equals GOD in set locations, right? So if 9 equals GOD, so does everything else. Multipaths. Everything has its own travel, of its own sail. Okay? So that's how you set lines in communication, setting directions. All right? I'm just showing you what you guys need to understand now, because you're coming into higher calculation and streamlines. Okay? You're coming into your 2-digit frame lines, into Founders of Space. So when that set line communication comes in line signature and line setting, right? Comes into all position locations, right? So we come into 9 lines, the high center interference is location of travel. What does that look like? That's 1 through lines of 9, right? See? Does it look like a 9? No. You got to understand what it is, the phenomenon. That's a 9. But see, it's going through a 6, through a half pipe in a rotation spin. It sets a correlation line of its direction to its location grid. A location grid basically puts you in position of structure, of travel. Okay? So the 1 is the indication, to its dimensional sail. All right? And then you understand the 0 operation of travel and communication. You need that ground setting. Okay? So now you understand the process, how you turn 1 into set locations to a dimensional sail, to a ground line operation, all through 1. 1, number 1. Okay? So that's what you guys got to get into now, because you're coming in a 2-digit frame through Founders of Space. Okay? You really have to understand how to do these things now. You can't see it as a number. You have to see it as its own geometric operation and design, and you have to learn how to communicate it through its own line communication of its own space and its own operation and its own clock location system. Right? 2. Right? 2-line setting, dimensional sail. See? See how easy it is? I don't even think about these things. I know what I'm doing. Right? So if that's a 2-line, your sun and your moon are here, right? Right there. Okay? So in position, comes in, and position line setting, directing signals, operation surface of 6 and 9. Okay? So it correlates in panels, lines, and rotates its surface in set location of directions. Sets position, location, operation. Sets position, location, operation, and set location of directions. Right? So it's always, 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 always together. Okay? So you're adding 2 with the sun and the moon, right? So 2 equals sun equals moon. Okay? So in that track communication line, sun and the moon, 69. Multipaths. It's always 69. Never changes. Do you understand? So 2 is line interference, indicate line interference. That's 2 lines in set locations, right? You can bracket, you can hanger it, right? Or you can circle location, or you can box location setting in direct signal. So in that set location system, the 69 always comes in a floration line rotations of flow direction of time sequence of time line. Okay, position. So now you understand the correlation setting, all line positions. 1 equals 69. 69 calculation is the sun and the moon. It's the opposite, but still the same, isn't it? 6 and 9 is always together. 6 and 9 is always in its dimensional sail. 6 and 9 is always in its zero gravity line interference. So what you're doing is you're creating a boat with a sail. And that's it. You fly in positions to the water. You glide through the water, which is in space. So it's a flow. It's a plasma flow. It's a recognition flow. It's a time flow. It's a hologram flow. It's all direct signal location setting and direct signal location to a system. Really understand how to travel through it is mechanism location of power and location of settings. Okay. Same with 3. Where's the dimensional sail? Right here. See? 3 equals lines of 6 and 9. Crosses over the sun, crosses over the moon. Sun and moon equal come together, right? 6 and 9 comes together and creates its dimensional realm of portal of communication. Okay? So that's what the sun and moon do. They communicate with each other. They go through the force. They go in the continuous force. Keep going forward, right? And it gets more powerful when you create more lines, a high calculation setting in position line directed system, more levels of the universal location of galaxy lines and string locations. Okay? Higher levels of travel settings, higher levels of GOD. Okay, so everybody understand that now? The importance of what it is? Okay, because you're coming in a 2-digit frame now. You have to learn how to set up line position location. Let's say you come into 10, right? You're in 10, right? So how do you turn 10 into a sail? How do you turn 10 into a sail? Well, the 1 becomes 6 and the 0 becomes 9. So 6 equals location is the moon and 9 location is the sun. Okay? So you have to learn how to basically put everything in balance set location setting. So all you're doing is retracting balance lines of communication in 6 and 9 of process calculation setting to create a board of communication setting and direction. Right? So as that comes together, it comes in all calculation setting, indirect signal into position locations to its dimensional sail. Okay? And you got signature streamline set locations into your flux capacitor. Okay? Gets really complicated if you get in a 3-digit number. 111. All right? So the correlation line direct signals, this comes in 1 lines of 1 equals lines of 6 equals lines of 9, which is correlations of you, center position location of the moon, and position of the sun. Center calculations comes into the center position. You come into the center. Calculation of 6 sets up the moon line, rotation surface, and the sun comes in line, rotation of the center, and position of 0 operation. That's how it comes into correlation. Okay? So I think we'll stop there. Okay, everything is set up location settings in your 79 positions, operation of surface. Founders of Space is now in a new track line setting into 9-line setting interference. So once we get into 2-digit frame line interference, you have to really mechanize high calculation streamline now. Okay? Modify the signal lines and use the communication you're transmitting and receiving location in settings. This opens all your line position location and track communication in your system. So you have to learn how to put your letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols in line communication to all levels of dimensional sail to set location setting and read a signal calculation setting, direct signals and position location to your sun and your moon operational line conditions of one signal and position location operation system. And that track communication system has to be in the same direct signal of forcing calculations in same rotation surface and set location. It has to be in the same continuous flow. It can't be opposite. It's got to be in the same continuous flow because it all coordinates when you get in position locations to your voicing grid line setting, stream locations. Okay. It doesn't matter what I do in set location system. It's all calculated and modified to settings because I know the letters, numbers, and shapes has its own intelligence of its own geometric operational design. I don't see one as one. That's not one. This is a dimensional sail. See? So if this is a dimensional sail, this is correlation to the moon. And this is the sun. There you go. Boom. Now they travel together. See? They travel together. Multipassed. That's how it's set up through numbers. Easy, isn't it? So higher level setting, calculation of location grid, you get in more complication line system. And travel set lines. Travel faster, 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 faster. Right? More security grids, more panels, more relays. Calculation high center of travel communication of settings. Right? All through one. Okay? All right. See you soon. Adios.